Welcome back to the Multiorgasmic Millionaire podcast. It's Tilly Storm, and today we're going to be going over some fan favorites because the entire month of December, we're celebrating 6 years of podcasting. Oh, heck yes. And the biggest way that we're celebrating 6 years of podcasting is with a 6-year podcast anniversary giveaway. If you haven't entered to win the free seat, which is $4,000, in my Multiorgasmic Bliss group coaching program, along with many other prizes and rewards that you can unlock along the way. Even if you don't win the main grand prize, you're still going to get free stuff if you take some actions. All you got to do is head to the link in the show notes to enter to win. If you are a woman who lacks sexual desire, who lacks sexual pleasure, whether it's with yourself or with your partner, or if you are a woman who lacks emotional and intimate connection, then this program is for you. So you can head to the link in the show notes to enter to win the giveaway that closes on midnight, December 25th. So Christmas Day, I'm going to be announcing who it is to my email list, and I'll come back on and announce who it is on the podcast on December 28th. So there's so many ways to earn points, take actions. The more points you earn by doing very simple things like following the podcast, subscribing to my YouTube channel, downloading my free mini course, audio training, 5 days to epic sex and pleasure. Like there's so many free things that you can do, actions to take. And the more actions you take, you unlock points, which therefore gives you free things. And the more points you get, the more likely you are to win the contest. So I just wanted to remind you guys of that before we move on to today's episode, which I'm going to share the top 3 episodes of 2023 and then the top episodes of all time since November 30th, 2017. So stay tuned to hear what those are. The Multiorgasmic Millionaire with Tilly Storm is the only sex podcast for high-achieving leaders wanting to experience the best sex and the epic relationships of their lives without dragging their partner to therapy, blaming it on their hormones, or trying things in the bedroom that don't feel authentic. I'm your host today, Tilly Storm, top 20 sex coach in the world. I hope you enjoy the episode. Welcome back, loves. Before I dive into the top 3 episodes of 2023 and the top 6 episodes of all time on this podcast, I want to take a very short trip down memory lane with you. Since starting this podcast, I've changed my name. I have gone through probably 10 iterations of myself, died and been reborn at least 20 times. And been on the verge of complete fuck this shit, I'm not doing this anymore, probably about 6 or 7 times. Maybe once a year. I think that's the trajectory, is about once a year that I have wanted to completely give up and be done with my business at all. Not even just the podcast, but my business. And since starting this podcast, I have for one moment actually quit my business. I quit. Like, I was done. I announced to my friends, all right, I'm freaking done with this shit. Like, screw this. I'm not doing anymore. I quit once officially, and I even went out and got a job as a sales and enrollment coach. And I did that for about 6 weeks before a bunch of drama happened in the company that I worked for. And then it was kind of like the universe was like, well, this is all you have to go back to, so have fun. You better figure out your business. And I was like, God damn it. I'm not ready to go back. I don't want to go back again. And what's hilarious is that during that time that I went and was working for someone else, I actually got more clients than I'd ever gotten and made more money than I ever got, which is just so ironic and so proof that the worry, the fear, concern, as someone who's been in the coaching industry for 6-7 years now, I've seen it just go down and down and down. And like, oh my God, you see all the business coaches. And I'm at the point where I'm like, if you freaking friend request me or follow me on Instagram or Facebook and you're a business coach, you're an automatic block, because yes, like it's just so, bleh. It's like a freaking pyramid scheme. Anyway, so yes, I have been through many, many iterations of myself on this journey of being a business owner and running a sex, love, and relationship coaching business. What I didn't realize when I started was that I'd have to become a professional marketer. I'd have to become a professional financial officer, a CFO, and a CMO. I had no idea anything about either of those roles. I was already a professional at coaching, but what they don't tell you when you sign up to become a sex, love, or relationship coach is that if you want to have a successful business and actually get clients, that you have to also become or hire out all of these other things. And when I started this, I was a single mom and barely making it. I was at like one of the worst rock bottom points of my life, having very suddenly gotten divorced and had to leave the place where I lived and moved to New Orleans for a while. So we lived in New Orleans. I'm from that area. And then COVID happened, pulled the kids out of school. Then we kind of traveled for a while, like 6 months to a year, somewhere around there. We were in Costa Rica, Colombia, Mexico during COVID for a lot of the time. I hired a private teacher, brought her with us. I had to pull my kids out of school because even January 2021, they still had not gone back to school. And the only thing I regretted was not doing it sooner. So I eventually did pull them out. I registered them as homeschool, hired a private teacher, we traveled, and then the kids were like, we want to settle down somewhere, we want to be in school, we want to have friends, blah, 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 blah. And we decided to come to Hollywood, Florida. I found a awesome Montessori middle and high school here, which there aren't hardly any middle or high school Montessori schools that are private schools. They're very, very rare and hard to find because they usually go up to 6th or 8th grade, but mine were already in middle and high school, so I was like, well, there's no point in doing that. We need a high school that goes all the way to 12th. So that's what we did, and that's why we moved to Florida. So I've gone through 2 major moves. As far as podcasting is concerned, I did not have a microphone until episode 91. For a very short period of time, forayed into business coaching other sex, love, and relationship coaches, and realized it just wasn't where my passion was. And like I told you before, I've wanted to quit this business so many times, but what I've learned is that when it's your dharma, when you're doing what you're here to do, it's like you can't escape it. It's like, I have tried to escape it so many times, and yet I keep getting pulled back into it because I know it's what I'm here to do. And what I found is that tendency to escape and get out of it has really just been my own fear, the growth and the expansion, and really feeling that, what do you call it, growing pains when you're a kid. It's been growing pains that just, you feel the fear and you lean into it, and then it's almost overwhelming how scary it can be to run a business like this sometimes because, I mean, if you're a business owner, you don't have a predictable income. You don't have a paycheck that comes every 2 weeks that you can just count on, right? It's not the same. So even just financially, like riding those financial waves of huge income months and then absolutely no income months, that's been a lesson in and of itself that I've had to adjust to and just freaking learn to master my nervous system when those periods of times come, and they still do. So it's not like they just ever go away. It's just who I've become and how I've learned to handle riding those waves that's really been impactful. So I just wanted to share a bit about the journey of me being a podcaster, being in this business for 6 years now, because I don't think many people will get up and really tell you the behind the scenes of what that's actually looked like and how I actually did quit my business for several weeks and was like, fuck it, I'm not doing anything. The only thing that I did during those 6 weeks was I made a commitment to myself and I said that I would get up here and put out an episode every week. And I did. Even when I wasn't emailing, I wasn't promoting anything. I didn't care if I got any calls booked, just didn't care what was going to happen in my business. And it's just so funny how that turned out to be the time where I got 4 or 5 private clients. Anyway, okay. So now I want to share with you what some of the fan favorite episodes have been. So for 2023, I'm going to give you the top 3. The top one of this past year was called 10 Sex Goddess Defining Traits and How to Become One. This was episode 231. And real short and quick, the 10 Sex Goddess Defining Traits were: number 1, being playful in her life and in bed because she doesn't take things too seriously. Number 2, she's great with boundaries and she stands by her yeses and nos. Number 3, she feels confident in her body and sexuality. Number 4, she prioritizes her pleasure. She doesn't compromise her pleasure for the sake of someone else. She's not a martyr, but also she's not self-serving. Number 5, she leaves things to the imagination, so she doesn't spill everything. She leaves room for mystery. Number 6, she looks for pleasure in everything and every moment throughout the day. Number 7, she has no problem tapping into her wild, primal desires and expressing them. Number 8, she feeds the fire of her eroticism. Yes. Jade egg practices, anyone? Number 9, she's passionate and knows what she wants and likes, and she knows how to freaking ask for it. Yes. And number 10, she is creative. She tries new things with her partner. She requests new things. She invites her partner to try new things, all of it. And how do you become a sex goddess? Well, number 1, you make time for pleasure. Number 2, you think about pleasure. That means you have to have constant, like if you really struggle with getting in the mood and initiating, maybe listening to podcasts about it, reading erotic novels, all those sort of things. Number 3, she updates her wardrobe. She throws out everything that doesn't make her feel sexy, and she only buys stuff when she's ovulating. Rule that I have for myself. And number 4, she starts a jade egg practice to learn what she wants and likes, get some boundaries, learns what a yes and a no is, and help remove blocks to pleasure in the first place. So that was the number 1 episode of 2023. Number 2 was episode 234, which is called 3 Steps to Craft Epic Sex Date Nights That Get You Out of a Boring Sexual Routine. This one was so juicy and it's so good because it is the foundation and the basis for my epic sex blueprint for my couples or my private clients who have a partner that also go through this as they're doing private coaching with me. Not like meaning that their partner isn't really joining the sessions, but they have guided epic sex date nights. So in my epic sex date nights, what I crafted was like this 3-step process that so many women really don't get enough foreplay and turn on throughout the day. They don't get the communication and the connection that they really need and desire in order to feel turned on in the first place. Because most women, well, I don't want to say most of them, but many of them are very responsive desire versus spontaneous desire. And if you're spontaneous desire, it's really easy for you to get turned on. But if you're responsive desire, it generally takes longer and you only get turned on in response to something that your partner is doing. And in the Epic Sex Date Nights, I crafted this way of putting together guided things for you guys to do. So the first is that the framework is that number 1, you have a connection or a communication practice to fulfill the emotional and intimate connection before touch ever even happens. And the second part is to actually have like a guided sexual experience together. And then the third part is to do a recap of the sexual experience, which is a really powerful way to inform your partner of what they could do better next time, of what they did super well, or what you may not like them to do again the next time. Because we often just don't talk about sex and how it went when we're done with it. So doing a recap can be extremely informative to your partner to give them the feedback that's required to make sex better for the both of you. That was the second most popular episode of 2023. That's episode 234 if you want to go check it out. The third most popular episode was 5 tips to get in the mood when you have all the orgasms, so you don't have a problem having them, but you lack desire and you never initiate. I've met many women who have this problem. They have no issues with having orgasms. They can even have like all of the different types, the 8 different types of orgasms, or they're multi-orgasmic, but they don't ever initiate sex and they don't know what's the deal? Why, if it's so good for me, why do I struggle making it happen or making it a priority in my life? So I give you some really great tips on how to get in the mood more, which are to, number one, think of sex more often, having it more in your face, more in front of mind, more of a priority. Whether you have to listen to erotic podcasts, read erotic books, whatever it is you got to do to actually think about sex more often. Number two, create an anchor in your environment that triggers you to think about sex every time you see it. For example, carrots or cucumbers when you go to the grocery store, or palm trees that look phallic, right? The third one is to just get present and stop letting your to-do list run your life. When your partner makes an advance on you with touch, stop. Get really present with his touch and just be there in it with him. And when he suggests sex with his words, just pay attention to the sound of his voice and allow it to penetrate you. Number four, create toggles in your day. Ooh, for my sensual, erotic language people out there, toggles are essential. Toggles help you shift from your day, from being mom or career woman or businesswoman to being sexy woman in the bedroom. Toggles can be anything from a hot bath, a massage, a workout, a matcha latte in the afternoon, anything that signals to your brain that work life is over and sexy time is now. It starts now. Like, no more work. I'm shutting off and I'm moving into this transition phase. That is a toggle. And if you are essentially wired erotic language person, if you don't know what I'm talking about, please go download my mini course, 5 Days to Epic Pleasure and Passion training at the link down below. It's totally free. It has all of my best resources all in one. I've completely upgraded the thing, re-recorded it, and I talk all about the erotic languages. So go download that down below and then come back. So create toggles. And number five is to consider the question, what is it that I don't want to feel right now? If you struggle getting in the mood, what are you resisting? Are you resisting pleasure? Are you resisting luxury and yumminess and goodness and joy and all of the things that we say we want, but we don't ever give ourselves the time to actually feel or experience? So what is it that you don't want to feel right now? Is it the resistance? Is it the fear? What is it? Because it's something. Something is in the way of you allowing yourself, giving yourself permission to get in the mood and to feel like a sexy and sensual woman. So what is it that I don't want to feel right now is the question you can begin to ask yourself, my love. All right, now that was the top 3 episodes of 2023. So that third one was episode 236, if you want to go listen to that one. Now I'm going to give you the top 6 episodes of all time. And I have to say, I will get on a call sometimes with a woman who says, Tilly, I've listened to every single one of your podcasts. Or I started from episode 1, and I have to tell you that, like, I cringe inside. I really do cringe at these early episodes. Like, it's taken everything inside of me to not just go delete them, because I feel like the quality was so bad. Like, the content was good, but the audio quality and all of it, it was so bad. But nobody cared back in 2017, all right, or 2018. No one really listened to podcasts. So anything they could get their hands on around sexuality, education, pleasure education, they just did. So for whatever reason, my podcast was still successful, even really early on, and the audio quality was absolute shit. So I really do apologize. But okay, episode 45. Which is a Zoom interview that I recorded on Zoom without a mic and is terrible, again, audio quality, but it's called Blowjobs and Orgasmic Deep Throating Techniques for Yours and His Ultimate Pleasure with Carolyn Diaco. That is the number 1 listened to episode on this podcast. Number 2 is the 8 types of female orgasm and why you aren't having them. That is episode 174, the second most listened to episode of the podcast. Then there's number 3, which is the how the jade egg helps you become multi-orgasmic. This is one of my favorites to refer people to. Number 4 is my 20-minute morning pleasure ritual that keeps me turned on and tuned in all day. And I want to tell you something about episode 117, which is about my morning pleasure ritual. I'm going to tell you that you can get it for free at the 5 Days to Epic Pleasure and Passion training down below at the link in the show notes. I have made that completely accessible to everyone. It was when I recorded that podcast episode, number 117, that I created this morning ritual. So maybe it's changed a little bit. Maybe I honestly don't even remember what I put in that episode, but the morning ritual has probably slightly evolved. So what you'll get now is the more evolved version. It's the one that I give my clients, my private clients and my group program clients, to do every day, because it is so powerful and so impactful, and it works on the snowball effect. It's not like it's working on your nervous system. So when you do the ritual, you're going to be like, I don't really know how this is helping me or how this is supporting me. But I promise you, if you do it for weeks leading into months, it has a snowball effect, because your nervous system doesn't change overnight. I am so sorry to let you down with that, but it's just true. Your nervous system it takes a lot of repetition for it to really learn a new story and to calibrate safety with the new thing that you're trying to tell yourself. So your unconscious brain is very set on you staying right where you are. And when you work at this nervous system level, doing the morning pleasure ritual that I give you, it takes time. So I really want to encourage you to download it and to get started right now, because if you start right now, by February, you're going to feel like a completely different woman. I promise you, if you do it every day, or at least every day that's humanly possible, you don't have to do it in the morning. Doesn't matter what time of the day. If you just do it, you're going to feel like a completely different person. You're going to have completely reset your system, and your system is going to have greater capacity for more pleasure. So that's the 4th most listened to episode on this podcast, is the morning ritual, episode 117. All right, the 5th one is 171. You too can have valley orgasms and orgasms through penetration. Hear how Barb did it. Barb was a client of mine who did my group program during its first iteration, before I quit doing the group program and only worked with private clients for an entire year, and then started a group program again just a month ago. So that is a really popular one. I'm not sure why. I guess because people are super interested in valley orgasms and having orgasms through penetration. But yeah, for whatever reason, that one was really popular. So you can hear all about how Barb did that for herself. She was someone who was very addicted to the vibrator, could only have an orgasm with the vibrator in her 50s, I believe, and really wanted to be able to have an orgasm in a different way. And you'll hear from her and how she achieved that. All right, number 6. This one is the one that I find the most hilarious, because it was the one that I feared putting out there more than any other episode on this podcast, because I feared that people would attack me for having a goddamn opinion. And let me tell you, only one person did. I thought so many more would, but only one person did. And it was during a time when I was really wanting to share my viewpoints and my thoughts and what was real for me. And it was on how I feel about Keminami, episode 226. I know it was shared many times because I have many clients from that episode. The episode that I feared putting out the most, that I was just absolutely terrified. I considered deleting it because I was like, oh, people are going to say how terrible I am for putting out there my opinion and for bashing women. Oh, and then that's the one person that did find me on Instagram, and she messaged me about how I was bashing women. No, if you go listen to the episode, you see how I am not bashing Keminami, and how I say very clearly that actually I really appreciate the work that she's done in the world, but here's the thing. And then I shared my very true and real opinion. And I will still stand by that episode so hard, because it is the things that we fear the most that have the biggest change, the biggest opportunity for change and transformation. I feared that episode so hard. It would take two hands to count how many clients I have gotten because of that one episode. I can say that I know for sure at least 6 paying clients have come to me because of that episode. And I did not share it to get clients. I shared it because it was a real opinion and something that was really lying heavy on my heart about what I heard happening in calls that women were booking with me who had done her work before. So yeah, fuck yeah, I stand by that episode every step of the way. While I feared it and for a moment I wobbled in it, looking back on it, I see how impactful and how transformative it was for the women who actually joined me in the work that I do, and how much better off they are now because they found me through that one episode. So anyway, if you want to check that one out, it's episode 226. Kim Anami is the podcaster for Orgasmic Enlightenment, and many people find me from that podcast because they're very similar and they come up as suggested. So all right, loves, I hope you have enjoyed this wrap of fan favorites celebrating 6 years of podcasting, and go enter that freaking giveaway if you have not already. I will be so excited to announce who the winner is via email on December 25th and via the podcast on December 28th. And if for whatever reason you don't want me to share your name, I'll just come up with we can make an anonymous name or a pseudonym, which many people do when they come to do interviews on my podcast. All right, loves, thanks so much for joining me. Head to the link down below in the show notes to download the free mini course, 5 days to epic pleasure and passion for high achieving women, and to enter into the 6-year anniversary giveaway. All right, good luck. See you next week.